Is China's new Deepseek technology going to destroy Wall Street? I don't think so, but I think Wall Street definitely needs to pay close attention. So let's talk about the core implications of this DeepSeek technology versus ChatGPT and Claude and other large language models. It's all about efficiency. It's all about precision. So they were able to develop this thing supposedly in a couple of months, costing them $4 to $5 million versus I think it's like $5 billion for like ChatGPT. So the reason for that seems to be that they're more focused on efficiency in their coding and their algorithms versus with the large language models that we're using here, it's all about, the hardware, right? Really powerful servers and processors. We're just trying to muscle through to get this results that we have here. Whereas I guess to use a little bit of a cliche, work smarter, not harder, I guess is at the core of DeepSeek. I'm not sure why they were able to make this advancement, but it is suggested that, as they say, necessity, I believe they say, is the mother of invention. So due to certain limitations and perhaps what was available to them, for whatever reason, it forced them to innovate in a way that we haven't really done in America. I mean, you want to do something really advanced. I mean, the simplest approach is to just, slap a big CPU on it, right? To really oversimplify. And that's kind of what we did. We have all this data to process and we want to do it quickly. And it's just, let's throw money at it. Now, obviously, that is not entirely true. Obviously, the developers of these large language models did consider efficiency to some degree, but perhaps the core methodology that the Chinese used versus what we did in America, perhaps they were more focused on efficiency as opposed to here we were focused on other things. So in terms of the implications to Wall Street, what this means is obviously AI is a big deal, right? Obviously, there's a lot of Wall Street firms that are working on so much technology using AI, for algorithmic trading and so many other things. And these projects, because of how we're doing things here, would be very expensive. I mean, a lot of Wall Street technology is expensive in general. But in particular, when you're dealing with AI, the kind of power needed and the speed that Wall Street requires, I can't imagine some of the budgets that some of these Wall Street firms have for the development of some of their AI-related projects. So who's currently right now on Wall Street in the middle of a project right now, implementing some kind of AI-related technology, and they've already spent a ton of money and time using the seemingly very inefficient large language models that we have currently? The awkward position that they're in now is, do you need to basically halt what you're doing and rethink it and try to see if you can get your people to come up with a more efficient and therefore cost-effective way to do something like what China supposedly is doing? And I say supposedly because that's the other angle. How do we really know what they've really done and how much it really costs and how long it really took? They're saying this and it's impressive and everyone's getting all, oh my goodness, but we don't really know what's going on over there. We don't really know the details behind the scenes. So they could be fibbing a little bit, which is another interesting thing because you have, major Wall Street firms that might be changing their strategy, changing their direction in terms of their technological developments. And it might be based on lies. How much lies? I don't know, right? It could be some of it's true, some of it's not true. We don't know the percentage. Maybe 95% of it's true and there's a little 5% that's a little bit of fluff. We don't know, but it's going to be critical to really know what's really happening before making big decisions in terms of your budget and your spending. I think, regardless of whether this is true or not, I think at a minimum, this event should be inspiring to Wall Street firms in terms of it's good to think outside the box and it's definitely important to always be on the cutting edge and ensuring that what you're doing is the best solution. So having this shakeup that's caused by what's happening in China might be good because maybe some innovative firms, innovative managers might just be having some conversations with their teams. And those conversations could lead to some projects that some of the top developers that we have in the industry that might lead to some amazing developments that we might hear about. Who knows? A couple of months, 6 months, who knows? And maybe we develop something even better than what China has, right? But even if we don't, if the result of this is inspiration, which leads to Wall Street delivering a better product and cutting their costs drastically, I think it's a win, right? We always want to be doing the best that we can, right? We want maximum speed. We want maximum resiliency. We want the absolute best executions for our clients. And anything that pushes us more in that direction certainly is a good thing. So let's see what comes of this. I'm definitely going to be paying attention to any further developments on what's happening. But interesting times we're living in, especially considering, once again, that big supposed announcement that was made at the White House regarding the Stargate project, which by my research has been going on since March of last year. So the timing of that announcement of an old project that's already begun and they're already starting these data centers seems a little bit suspicious in terms of why they're making that announcement now. But the implications of what's happening in China, I mean, it's massive because they were talking about a $500 billion investment, which they weren't clear on where that money's coming from, which is another red flag. We don't know if the government's even going to be involved. It seemed to me to be mostly a political stunt because I didn't see any commitments coming from the government. The $500 billion number was not really qualified. So we don't really know what that was all about. It seemed a little gimmicky. But even if it being a gimmick, the reality is the way that we're going about things in this country, it's very expensive, very resource intensive, right? They're talking about nuclear power plants just to power the data centers. So if that's completely unnecessary, because what I'm hearing this Deepseek technology, I mean, I'm hearing things like they're running it locally. I don't know, man. But if you don't understand how massive the implications of this is, I don't know what to tell you. But $500 billion is a lot of money. The idea that they could do the same thing for a fraction of the cost is insane. And the idea that it might actually not only be more efficient, but actually better, because it seems that the Chinese, their structure is more precise. So they're training on more sort of relevant data, whereas our large language models is more general. So I would presume that we would have more what we call hallucinations, where basically ChatGPT makes mistakes, which is one of the big challenges on Wall Street because those mistakes, those hallucinations could cost millions of dollars. So how we use large language models is very tricky given the demands of the industry. It seems that the models that they're using in China actually seems more appropriate for what we're doing in Wall Street because what they would be doing, based on what I'm reading, is the models would be specially trained on trading data. It would be very, let's say, a proprietary data set. So the models would be more constrained. Now, some of what's being done on Wall Street right now is kind of a version of that, where, because of the risks, we are limiting, sort of constraining the AI models that we're using so that it's sort of in a box, making it more precise and avoiding mistakes. I don't think anyone's just using ChatGPT just straight up like that for trading. That would be very dangerous. And if they are using it, there's got to be some kind of an adapter in between ChatGPT and the trading systems because something needs to constrain it and keep it on the tracks because going off the tracks, again, is very dangerous. But it seems that the Chinese model is more sort of natively designed in that way so we're more generic and they're more specific. But I'll keep following this and I'll update you guys. But it is interesting times that we're living in. And NVIDIA, yeah, the brute force strategies, are they coming to an end? Time will tell.